right, I'm going to go over the basic script writing elements just for folks for a brush up. Okay, and start with playwriting. And this is a PowerPoint that is entitled Theme, and you can find this under the week on theme. I want to say that it's week 2, week 1 or 2, somewhere right around there, if you want to reference it back on Google Classroom. All right, so this is, we're going to do playwriting first, and then I'll show you screenwriting. So in playwriting, I find this to be a little bit easier. Originally, I was thinking screenwriting was easier, and I went with that with all my original scripts. But as I learned playwriting format, I actually was like, well, I kind of like this one better. So it's up to you. You can use either one for your script. I do not mind. All right, so the 3 parts of any script, and this is for playwriting or screenwriting, is descriptors, parentheticals, and dialogue. So the descriptors tell what's going on in the scene. The parentheticals give you additional information, and the dialogue is what the characters say. Here's an example of the descriptors here, where the scene takes place, what's going on, so forth. They always say don't direct and less is more. All right, the dialogue is what the character says, and then the parentheticals are any kind of additional information, how they say it, things like that. Okay. The difference between that and screenwriting is, as you can see, it has the same basic information, but it includes a couple more things in screenwriting. You have a slug line, so forth, and think about this more of, obviously, a camera as opposed to a stage. But as the same descriptors, the action, the business, the dialogue, and the parentheticals. Okay, we're going to skip that thing on transitions and talk about the differences in formatting between the two. The main difference is that in playwriting, the character names are always in caps, whereas screenwriting, the character names are only in caps when they're first introduced. That's one of the main differences. In playwriting, all dialogue is justified left and character names are indented, as opposed to screenwriting where all dialogue and character names are centered. Okay, so let's look at this in a little bit more detail in practical form. Okay, this is a sample scene, and this is basically a sample scene that shows you how to do playwriting format. So as you can tell, here is the character, teacher, okay? And teacher is going to say this, and teacher is going to be tabbed over 2 times. So tab, tab, all caps. All right, parentheticals, as you can tell, here's a parenthetical, and here's a parenthetical. Okay. And these 2 examples, these are tabbed over once. All right, so you would just start at the top and hit tab, and you come on over. And the dialogue is always justified here to the left of the document. So those are the 3 types. Now, the question became about being in caps and not caps. The character names are always in caps when they're speaking. What this is referring to here, when they're first introduced, this is talking about when they're mentioned in the stage directions. For instance, up here it says teacher and student are characters. So after that, they're not going to be mentioned in caps again in the parentheticals. But here, as you can see, this is playwriting format, and so they're continually being referred to as a character in all caps. That's one of the reasons I kind of like playwriting format, because it's always in caps every time, and I don't know, it sort of sets it apart and makes it easier to read. Screenwriting is all centered. Everything is centered. So if we go back, and I don't have an example like that, but I have an example on here. Let me go back up. You can see that and I'll make this a little bigger, you can see it a little better. You can see that everything is centered. Except for I shouldn't say everything, because over here your fade in at the beginning are not. But as far as what the character dialogue is and everything that they're saying, this is all centered. And I feel like that's easy to an extent, but I just particularly like the playwriting format now that I've gotten into it. I mean, I don't even know why I can tell you that. But 2 tabs over for characters, 1 tab over for parentheticals, and then straight up for dialogue here. Okay. So that's the difference between playwriting and scriptwriting format, and hopefully that clears that up for you to be able to write. Like I said, you can use either one. Just make sure that you're sticking to it and following it, whichever one you chose. Also, there's a couple of links in this PowerPoint presentation that have a little more details, a little bit more on scene headings and so forth. You can click on these links and find out a little bit more in depth, more of the technical bits if you're interested.